We're not politically correct, we just have common sense.
Unscripted, unfiltered, unfaltering. Show of Support's Hunt for Heroes offers tributes and true stories of remarkable courage.
If these terrorists could come in your bedroom, they'd kill you, your wife, and your kids. And that's what these men are fighting to protect us from, these murdering idiots. And they're taking them out so that we don't have to deal with them over here.
Show of Support started it all just after the shock and awe bound the nation together. Now, years of footage portraying wounded veterans, deer stands, and standing ovations. Hunt for Heroes, that started as one man's way to say thanks, is now a series that many say is way overdue.
This is something I'll never forget for the rest of my life.
It's just a raw emotion.
It's been like a dream. It really has.
We still have 40,000 injured troops. It's going to take a while to get around to all of them, but there's no quitting. It'll never stop as long as I'm breathing.
Everybody kept talking about, oh, that's a good sized buck for your very first whitetail hunt. I was very happy, very ecstatic that that was a good sized buck that I shot for my very first one. I'm really pleased with it and really happy.
That's my year's worth of work culminating. The hunts are great and what they get to see and do is all great, but at one moment's what I do all this work for what it does for them. I get to enjoy and I know what we've done is paid off. They're just so grateful.
I started becoming more and more relaxed and a little bit and understood that people were genuinely happy for me for doing that.
Sergeant First Class Mathew Bessler loves all the attention, but he hesitates to admit that his story and his service is worthy of high praise. The only thing is, there are people across the country who feel otherwise. Matthew and his wife Christine are greeted at the Midland, Texas airport with overwhelming warmth. Matthew is here for a deer hunt. The Show of Support Hunt for Heroes started by Jerry Johnston several years ago. From airport standing ovations to a crowded coliseum, Show of Support has developed an immense following for warriors who deserve an immense amount of attention.
My original hometown is Cody, Wyoming, but flying in, me and my wife and my son, we live out on 17 acres, and we just kind of looked at the ground and we just couldn't figure out what was all over the place in these brown spots. And so we kind of went, it's flat, that's for sure. They said banquet. I thought maybe small banquet. Wasn't expecting an entire arena to be full of people, and definitely didn't expect as lively, as fun, and as wonderful event as it was. It was very, 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 it was very overwhelming, overwhelming in a good sense. I probably wouldn't have made it across the stage if my wife wasn't there. It's very hard to find words. Because I don't really relate to emotions, and just because of the bitterness that your job brings, and you can't have thin skin.
Organizer Jerry Johnston has to admit, the banquet to some seems a little over the top. But as long as the people will pack the city's largest coliseum to hear those heroes' stories, the longer Jerry will parade them across, one after another, sharing the applause with their wives.
First time I joined in as an 11 Bravo which is an infantryman, and I went to a Ranger battalion, and that didn't change my MOS, and so my military operational specialty was infantryman for the first 8 years of my military career. Then I attended Green Beret School, or Special Forces School, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, for the remainder of the years that I've been in the military, which in January will be 20 years.
Overwhelmed by the attention, Sergeant Bessler is still sorting through the words spoken just moments before by Deputy Commandant of the United States Marines, General Buck Bedard.
Out of the death and destruction that was caused on 9/11, there emerged a sleeping giant. And that giant was the spirit of this great country of ours, the spirit of the United States of America and its entire citizenship. And leading that spirit was a man we called our Commander-in-Chief and our President, George W. Bush. And as our great Commander-in-Chief, he made some very difficult decisions. But he made the decision that we would not hide inside of our own country, but we would take the fight to the terrorists.
General Bedard traveled a long way to join in this tribute. He never expected to be interrupted by so many standing ovations.
Show support really should be a model for the United States of America. It really should. Because what's happening in this community and what's happening in this room tonight is something so powerful. It is such a special way to say thank you that the entire country should embellish it and take it forward.
One of the surprises is the rifle presentation. Mathew humbly accepted his heartfelt gift in a town that embraces things like firearms, the Second Amendment, and the privilege of celebrating such incredible elements of freedom. But after all, this is a deer hunt, and Mathew sees himself getting closer and closer to that time in the deer blind. But right now, for this brief moment, he belongs to the world.
This weekend has changed that for me, the perception of thank you. Instead of me saying it was my job, I'm able to say you're welcome.
West Texas whitetails and the story of a man who escaped death but has to deal with the memory every day as Show of Support Hunt for Heroes continues. Stay with us.
Flying in, me and my wife and my son, we live out on 17 acres, and we just kind of looked at the ground and we just couldn't figure out what was all over the place in these brown spots. And so we kind of went, it's flat, that's for sure.
He thought, like so many others, that he was coming on a deer hunt, just a chance to get away from doctors, hospitals, painful rehab, and a never-ending string of surgeries. Master Sergeant Mathew Bessler wasn't prepared for the onslaught of attention from patriotic Americans in West Texas. It's the Show of Support Hunt for Heroes Whitetail Hunt, but it begins with non-stop praise for the American forces' job well done. For several days, the heroes can't shake the face of pure appreciation.
There are faces that you're never going to forget, because whether or not I had a personal conversation with you, but they're faces of comfort, faces of something that you can relate to that will put you in a comfort zone that wouldn't cause you to be nervous.
Finally, a giant convoy carrying 24 American heroes heads off across the West Texas Permian Basin, an area not big on scenery, but big on heart. Schools let out, and people gather for the passing convoy of courage. Mathew's wife is back in Midland, where the wives are facing a long weekend of pampering and silk pillow treatment. Out on the road, the folks along the way assemble a collection of small gifts, letters, cards, drawings from children, mementos of emotional praise on a morning in November. Something Mathew Bessler will never forget.
They're excellent memories for people that have severe depression or anxiety like I do.
Overwhelming.
For the first time, the convoy leaves the pavement and winds its way to Camp Freedom. a windy outpost that will be home for the next several days of deer hunting. Each hero has been looking forward to this site for several days, but one more formality greets the arriving hunters.
It was kind of confusing because we kept trying to ask, well, what kind of gear do we need to wear? Do we need to bring a jacket? Do we need to bring this, that? No, just pack a pair of jeans. I'm not wearing the same pair of jeans all weekend long.
Looking for Bessler?
Hunt organizer Jerry Johnston somehow arranges the right sizes, the right gear, and the right equipment for a West Texas whitetail hunt.
Yeah, we ask these guys not to pack much, not to bring much. When they get here, we try to take care of everything. We've got a rifle, a backpack, their clothes, their boots. We've got everything in place they need for this hunt. And it's awesome to have it all set out and get them all behind their gear and get to explain a little bit to them who all's done what for them to see that they have a good hunt. It's amazing to watch them start tearing into the backpacks. It's like kids at Christmas. They can't believe all the things they're getting. And I had one of them come up to me and said, I don't need a Christmas present. I've had more Christmas than I've ever had in my life. And that's really what I want it to be. I want it to be a Christmas to these guys. An old-fashioned, old-timey Christmas.
I was like a kid at a candy store. I still don't know when do I need to give it back, or it was completely shocking. Still excited about going and playing with some of the stuff, and it's big boy toys, so I mean it's great. Everything's superb. I appreciate all the companies that donated everything that they have, and every bit of the equipment is excellent.
Yeah, we get them all their gear, and then of course they don't realize it, but we got one more big barbecue event that night. I try to assure them that night, we're finally going hunting in the morning, guys. I promise the party's over. So for a lot of them, it's a relief. They've had enough attention, they're ready to go hunt.
I was excited. I got hunting gear and I wanted to go hunting, so and we went hunting right away. So I was very excited about it.
Pulled from the embrace of public admiration, Mathew is decked out in his top-shelf hunting gear, all donated from different companies who share the show of support enthusiasm for American heroes. His guide is Cody Arrington. Cody's guided for show of support since day one. He considers himself lucky to be able to sit in a blind and hear the stories firsthand of courage in combat and heroes in the heat of battle.
We've got some awesome properties we hunt down here. We've got some great landowners hunting 7 different ranches. These ranchers look forward to this event all year, so they're on the lookout for the kind of deer that we want to try to put these guys on, and they've got everything in place that they can have in place. It is hunting, so it's not a guarantee, but they just pull all the stops out to get these guys a deer, and we're generally able to pull it off every year in a couple of days. It's amazing. I'm amazed every year. I'm a hunter. I've hunted 38 years, and I've been on many hunts where I didn't get a deer, and to bring 25 heroes down here and walk away with 25 good bucks constantly amazes me.
Just heard it was a large piece of property, and the landowner was a very wonderful guy for donating the property in order for us to do this. And it's a lot bigger than I thought, and everything is wonderful. I was very excited. We couldn't get there fast enough. We couldn't get set up fast enough, and the deer couldn't come out fast enough. So once I was able to sit down and relax and listen and watch and everything, I started calming down, and it was still exciting, but I was pretty much ready to go.
Mathew loads his first round into his brand new deer rifle. It's been sighted in by local law enforcement volunteers. Cody's been fighting the other guides for this blind on the Rocking Chair Ranch. It's his favorite spot, where almost every year he accompanies an American hero for a buck in this very area. A buck slips through the West Texas mesquites, and one man's heartbeat accelerates to combat mode when Show of Support Hunt for Heroes continues. Stay with us.
My battalion commander and my battalion commander knew that I liked hunting, knew of my injuries, and thought I would be a good candidate, and asked me to write up some information about it, and I was selected. I was called and selected.
At long last, Mathew Bessler is hunkered down in a hunting blind in West Texas on this Show of Support Hunt for Heroes. His guide, Cody Arrington, says the peak of the rut is close. But rut or no rut, this spot always seems to work out for Cody. One more reason this blind is so special for Cody are the stories he's heard in whispered tones.
I was a Special Forces engineer, so I handled a lot of demolitions, overseeing and guided other counterparts or foreign countries in how to reconstruct large projects, water facilities, bridges. We were doing this daily. We were conducting kinetic operations inside and in and around Baghdad 24/7. So we would get up right when the sun was going down, set up our plan for the evening. We were conducting a mission inside of Baghdad in Sadr City. On the way in, we had received fire as well as on the way out. And on the way out of that, my vehicle was by an IED. The IED basically lifted the vehicle, which slammed my head up against a door in the Humvee, and I basically had passed out for approximately 15 to 20 minutes. And came to inside the green zone with the person in the back seat giving me aid. When I came to, I knew something was afoot. I don't remember a lot of anything that had happened because I was looking straight forward, and like I said, there were RPGs and already other IEDs going off, and we were in a firefight going out of Sadr City. There were IEDs, rockets flying in front of the vehicles, and you can see a lot of this stuff exploding and going off.
The explosion inside the infamous deadly Sadr City left Matthews with a long list of injuries, including TBI, or traumatic brain injury. That's the one that trumps shattered bones and ripped flesh. It's something Mathew struggles with every day.
I'm still seeking a lot of counseling, and there's a lot of stuff that I've piled up that if I found the magic memory to shake, then I would definitely try to get that out of my head.
The cowards Mathew encountered that day, the ones who hide behind women and children, who won't fight an American soldier face to face, end up on the business end of several 223 hollow points. Let's just say it was a closed casket funeral in the desert.
They're brainwashed into thinking something completely different than what actually their own Bible says, the Quran, and they are made to believe that we are pigs, we are infidels, and we are trying to conduct ethnical cleansing in their country when we're only just trying to help a population that had been suppressed and actually didn't have a choice with the dictator that they had. They didn't have choices, and they didn't have freedoms to be able to establish themselves in life and move on and move forward and have goals.
On any deer hunt for any hunter, the first deer of the afternoon triggers a nice rush of adrenaline, a reassurance of being in the right place at the right time.
You know, your heart starts racing and you want to shoot the first thing that moves. It was very hard to wait because I was like, is it coming? I don't think it's coming. A smaller buck showed up. I asked Cody, I said, are you sure that ain't the bigger one? And he said, no. And then the bigger one, the larger one, more mature one did show up. It started the adrenaline going, and I got really excited. I was like, okay, now I'm just gonna wait until Cody thought it was gonna be an opportune time to shoot.
Cody gives Mathew the green light on this buck.
I knew that the wind was making the deer act really funny. They were bucking around, they were spooking it, the leaves, the branches, different things crackling. And I definitely know because of where we were, they weren't gonna scent us. I know that young doe walked in front of him, and it seemed like, I thought she stopped and parked herself there for probably only a couple seconds, and then she continued on, and then I had a clear shot. Just heart beating, and started getting a little tunnel vision, so I had to open my other eye, breathe a little bit more because I stopped breathing, and then calm myself down a little bit, and then finally pulled the trigger on him. I just wanted to make sure that I made a good shot or placed my shot correctly, and I feel I did that.
Nice cool barley pop.
Oh yes. I was kind of scared that he ran off way far away,
Yes.
and we would have a hard time tracking it. But because I knew I had a good shot, I believed he did not go very far.
darkness takes over in their search through the maze of cedars and mesquites.
Just seeing very little trickles of blood and having a hard time finding that blood trail because he moved so fast initially. I was afraid that because I wasn't seeing much blood that maybe that I didn't hit him in a very good, or I didn't hit a vital, or I didn't hit him very good. But then the further we walked in or further we got on the trail, the more blood that we seen. Then I feel that I had gotten a pretty good shot on him, so he wouldn't be that far away. As soon as he put his hand up, then I seen the deer sitting in the bush over his shoulder. You know, instead of looking for a blood trail, I was actually just seeing him and I was excited. I was like, got him. He was there. I wanted to run over and look at him. I felt really good. I think I was just trying to be quiet and I didn't want to start screaming or anything.
Broke it off right there. It's just a little G2 broke off. Wow, that's a cool deer. Good deal. Congratulations, man. Thank you. That's awesome. That's a good shot and you didn't get far.
An incredible hunt for an incredible American hero. Even though Mathew has a lot of doctors to see and work to do, a whitetail buck this size seems to be the best therapy of all.
Definitely a good time. Enjoyed it.
I think I'm very, very fortunate that nothing worse has happened to me. But I loved my job, I loved what I did. I enjoyed what I did it well.
That'll work.
It's outstanding. I'm still in awe about the entire thing. The parades, the shaking hands, the thank yous, the sharing a meal with somebody, the riding in a truck and joking with other people, the meeting new people. But the biggest thing I think I will take is the appreciation and the love that has been shared and provided to us by these wonderful people of Texas and the show of support individuals that have chosen us to come out and enjoy this program and share in this program. I think that's one of the biggest things I'm going to take from here is when somebody says thank you, I understand what they're saying.